It has been more than 2 decades since Christopher Paolini published Eragon at the young age of 19, and the inheritance cycle has gone on to become a childhood staple for many of us. And now, at long last, we're getting the chance to return to the world of Alagaësia. Christopher Paolini has announced Murtagh, a full-length standalone novel that takes place 1 year after the events of the inheritance cycle, so it acts as a sequel. It's going to build on the story of the original series, giving the fan-favorite character a book of his own. The world is no longer safe for the dragon rider Murtagh and his dragon, Thorn. An evil king has been toppled, and they are left to face the consequences of the reluctant role they played in his reign of terror. Now they are hated and alone, exiled to the outskirts of society. Throughout the land, hushed voices whisper of brittle ground and a faint scent of brimstone in the air, and Murtagh senses that something wicked lurks in the shadows of Alagaësia. So begins an epic journey into lands both familiar and untraveled, where Murtagh and Thorn must use every weapon in their arsenal, from brains to brawn, to find and outwit a mysterious witch. A witch who is much more than she seems. Murtagh must discover what he stands for in a world that has abandoned him. Murtagh is set to release on November 7th, 2023, and on the same day, we're also getting Eragon, the Illustrated Edition. This is an oversized edition featuring brand new full-color illustrations by talented fantasy artist Siddharth Chaturvedi, pardon my pronunciation. All the illustrations they've released so far look beautiful, and Paolini also mentioned that if this is successful, then they're definitely going to be making illustrated editions for the other books as well. And I don't know, I think it's safe to say it's going to be successful. Everybody loves an illustrated edition. And it turns out that Murtagh is also going to be illustrated. Paolini himself has drawn and painted 8 new pieces of art. That's right, 2 inheritance cycle things are releasing on one day. This is going to be a really exciting fall this year. And later this year, on April 25th, we're getting some newly packaged paperback versions of the inheritance cycle, and these are going to include an excerpt from Murtagh as well as some bonus in-world content. It's going to be a very exciting year, this being the 20th anniversary of Eragon. Not to mention, there's a brand new TV series of Eragon in the works on Disney+, so it's an exciting time to be a fan of the series. And we know that we're going to be getting book 5 of the inheritance cycle as well, and Christopher Paolini actually took to Reddit and other social media to tell us a bit about Murtagh and book 5. To provide a bit of clarification on the issue of Murtagh and book 5. As a number of you have guessed, Murtagh isn't the long-awaited book 5 that I've planned on writing. However, it is the 5th full-length novel set in Alagaësia and is a direct continuation of the themes and storylines of the inheritance cycle. If you've enjoyed the inheritance cycle, this is more of the same and possibly better. So why write Murtagh first? Well, as I was working on plotting book 5, I realized that a certain amount of groundwork needed to be laid in place before the book would make sense. Murtagh is that groundwork, and there was no way I could move on to book 5 without writing this story first. To be clear, Murtagh isn't a spin-off, it isn't a retelling, and it isn't a one-off that won't connect to later events. It's a direct line sequel to the inheritance cycle and an essential and necessary part of what I'm doing in Alagaësia. Also, some of the questions I left unanswered at the end of the inheritance are answered in Murtagh, so don't think I'm just letting all of you hang, that would be mean. In a way, this book is a great big 700-page promise to you, the reader, that more is coming. Like I said, such an exciting time to be a fan of the inheritance cycle. I haven't read these books since like middle school, so I'm gonna have to reread them before Murtagh comes out. To be completely honest, I don't exactly know if they're going to hold up to how I enjoyed them back in middle school, but I am really excited to jump back into this world and also hopefully see Paolini grow as a writer once I read Murtagh. In my experience, writers only improve with time, and the fact that he is just coming off of a fresh, sci-fi writing hype, and he's gonna be jumping right back into Alagaësia after 10 years, I'm very excited. I'm excited to see how he's grown as an author. There was also The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm. I never actually got to this one because I wanted to reread the inheritance cycle before reading this, but this is a collection of short stories, one of which is about Murtagh, and we get some glimpses of what Eragon is doing now. Even from the small sample that I did read, I can tell that Paolini's writing has improved. Now, over on Reddit, he's been answering some questions, and he confirmed that this is not needed, but it is recommended to read before reading Murtagh. And good news, the audio audiobook and ebook is going to be releasing simultaneously on November 7th with the physical copy. The book is 656 pages and 190,000 words. Also, I should mention that Barnes & Noble has a really cool sweepstakes going on right now for those who pre-order the book or mail in a postcard. The sweepstakes could win you a signed copy of the Eragon Illustrated Edition, as well as a special pin, a fountain set, a leather journal, a print of the map of Alagasia, and a 3D printed Brysinger. I am actually getting really excited for the Inheritance Cycle again. I'm going to be starting a fresh reread really soon, and I'm really excited to see more growth in the character of Murtagh, because from what I remember, he wasn't that developed of a character. I always found him really interesting though. He's a character that's longed for freedom to discover who he actually is, and I'm hoping we're going to get a lot more growth with his character here. Obviously we are, so I'm excited for that. Basically, he spent his entire life living where compassion was a weakness, while despising a lot of the things that he saw. He actually acts as sort of a parallel to Eragon, but we don't really see a whole lot of him in the story. And since he was never that well developed, I kind of always thought that if there was going to be a sequel or a spin-off of the Inheritance Cycle, that it would likely follow Murtagh. And finally, we have that. We're finally getting a continuation, and I can't wait to get back into it. Let me know what you guys think of this news. Are you excited to dive back into the world of Eragon? Are you going to be rereading the Inheritance Cycle like I am? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if you would like to see some Inheritance Cycle videos on the channel. If you would like to help support the channel, you can always join my Patreon. I have different tiers on there, and that helps out the channel so much. Or alternatively, you can become a channel member. I put all the names of my patrons and my channel members in my end screen, and honestly, that support over on there helps out the channel so much. Anyways, that's it. I'll see you next time.